This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me for another Rapid Fire Sunday, a episode for you to learn strategies and tips to transform your cookie decorating hobby to a profitable business. So I'm excited to come with you every week to take a little journey into 5 questions, wonderments, or scenarios with my personal response, or I should say perspective as a hobbyist that went to a profitable business. So if you are not familiar with who I am, my name is Annette Conrad. I'm the owner and lead creative for a company I started over 20 years ago from a hobby called Edible Impressions. And I also am a virtual decorating guide. So what we do here with this Rapid Fire Sunday is I go through 5 questions, wonderments in rapid fire format. And yes to the replay. So thank you for those that are watching live, and I appreciate those that are tuning back in for the replay. These are jam-packed full of pro tips, stories, and my knowledge and expertise from not only running my business for over 20 years, but I also have a very strong background in events coordination and time management and leadership. So I bring all of those worlds together for this episode of some golden nuggets for you. Okay, so let's get started. I do have somewhat of a theme. Sometimes when I have these 5 questions, they jump around a little bit, but the theme today is going to be communication, because when you're running a business, communication is key in every single format. So whether it is communication with your team, whether it's communication with your clients, maybe your suppliers, but communication is going to be super, super important as you start and operate your business. But we're going to focus on the customer today. So 5 questions. Why do I need a client intake form for custom orders? How can I make sure my customers understand the cookie designs? Why is an order confirmation so important? I know these are jam-packed. These are loaded questions, but we'll get through them, I promise you. What should be included in my order confirmation or agreement? And then finally, how can I ensure the customers acknowledge that everything is correct before executing the order? So like I said, these are pretty loaded questions, but in the spirit of Rapid Fire Friday, I'm going to be pretty quick with my response and welcome you to go a little deeper. So if you would like to reach out to me personally via the DM, the Facebook group, or you can go to AnnetteConrad.com, shoot me an email, and we can continue the conversation on any one of these topics. Okay, so number one, why do I need a client intake form for custom orders? Okay, first of all, taking my hobby to a business, one of the first things I did was to create a client intake form. If you're wondering, what is that? That basically is going to be your communication tool to be able to take those custom orders from your customers. And when you're running a hobby, or when you have your hobby, most of your orders are probably coming from friends or family, and they're reaching out to you via phone, or maybe they're texting you, or maybe they're DMing you via Facebook. And so pretty casual. Now, what I really would encourage you to do is, if you are taking that leap, once you take that leap, work on this client intake form, and you're going to find not only will your orders be more accurate, you're going to, of course, save time. It's going to be less stressful. And most importantly, you're going to come off as extremely professional. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why can't I just take orders via the DMs or text? And I would advise not. I would really have them streamlined to a specific form where you're asking very specific questions. And we could get into that on another day in terms of what are the questions you ask. But this is really going to make your order specifications super accurate and consistent. And then your clients are going to know exactly what they're getting. So a couple of the things, you're going to avoid misunderstandings and, honestly, the unnecessary stress. And I've been there, because when I started, I let people order everywhere. People could call me, they could send me a text, they could send me something on Instagram or Facebook, LinkedIn. So I was getting orders when I was working at the university. I was getting orders, people walking by me in the student union, and I would have my little notepad and I would be feverishly writing down what they wanted. And undoubtedly, I made mistakes, as well as my client did. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So really, really important. I don't want to go too much deeper on this, but it really is important, and it will come off super professional when you take that leap to a business and you communicate to your family and friends that now you have this client intake form. And really, the number one reason is to be consistent, very clear, and reduce stress on you and your clients so they know exactly what they're getting. Okay, so number two, how can I make sure my customers understand my cookie designs? Oh, this is a good one. And like I said, I say I've been there, done that, but all of the different scenarios that have come up with communication, whether it be clear or not so clear, I've experienced. So learn from me. So one of the biggest frustrations is with custom orders is a mix and match of expectations. So that is the worst feeling when you work super hard on an order. You feel like you have the best understanding of what your client's looking for, and then you send them that picture right before pickup, and they're like, "Oh, not exactly what I was thinking," which actually happened just this morning, and I'll get to that maybe later. Or if you're wondering, DM me, I'll fill you in. But all is well. Okay, all is well. So the clearer you can be, the fewer surprises. So you want to be with that client intake form, asking them what their vision is, but that order confirmation, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is super important because it is going to detail everything that you were talking about through that request form. Okay. It is about balance. It's not about overwhelming your client, but it's also being very specific so that there is no misunderstanding when it comes to the design. Now, one of the things that I know that I could probably do a little bit better, especially when my client will say, well, baker's choice. If they don't send me inspiration pictures, if they don't pick out the cookie shapes or the designs, and they just give me the theme and the color scheme, it's been fun. And most of the time, it's great. There's no problem, no misunderstanding. But because every once in a while, and I can feel it, and maybe they don't always tell me, but I'm pretty good at judging whether or not they were super satisfied with the order. I am now, even with those baker's choice requests, I'm going to start sketching something out and kind of showing them what my vision is. Because I just had something happen this morning, and I said I wasn't going to go into it, but maybe I will. So really quickly, the scenario was I have this birthday party for my dog, Chester. Oh my gosh, adorable dog. So we were going to do half photo cookies with a Tiffany blue sugar border, and we were going to make bones with Happy Birthday Chester. So, and the funny thing is with this, I was the one that recommended the shapes, the outside of the blue sugar border, the color scheme, the size, the presentation, everything. Somewhere along the line, I missed it. I do admit I missed it. She had asked for me to put happy birthday, Chester, but happy 5th birthday. But here's the thing. I had a confirmation agreement. She signed off on it and she paid it in full and didn't see the specification of the design that said dog bone personalized with, air quotes, happy birthday, Chester. So as much as I missed that fine detail in our email communication, she also missed it in reading the contract. So we're going to get to contracts in a minute, but oh, I wish people would read their contracts. Please read your contracts. Okay, I digress. So, okay, so a little bit about that, about, you could maybe sketch things out, but the more detail, the better, okay? And another thing is, we're going to get to the order confirmation, but part of that is not only showing them and proposing what you want to do, but maybe getting an acknowledgement. And that's where the confirmation comes in. So a written confirmation, and again, that's something that I did right from the start, and it is gold. I mean, that is the document that we work off of in the bakery. So it's not only an order confirmation or a contract, and we'll talk about what you want to call it. That is the actual document we use to execute the order. So it's really, really important for that. But an acknowledgement is a good thing to do. So why is the order confirmation so important? Of course, I've just alluded to some of that, but it really does eliminate the confusion. It gets their confirmation, and it also protects you and your time. I have a workflow process with my order confirmations. Not to go into too much detail, but there's an estimate at the initial request. It transforms into an order confirmation. Then it actually goes to an invoicing. And along each of those steps, I do get an acknowledgement for my clients. So where I'm going is without that order confirmation and without the acknowledgement of that order confirmation, we do not execute the order. And in fact, without payment, we do not start an order, or at least a deposit. So, safeguard yourself for your time, because I think it happened once, maybe twice in my 20 years, which is a long time, where I executed an order and I was like, hey, here's your cookies, here's a picture. And they're like, oh no, we didn't actually want to go forward with it. My fault as the business owner, because I did not have an acknowledgement. And I don't remember, it was one of those exceptions. Maybe I didn't realize that they didn't pay. And in the beginning, I was going on the honor roll too, being like, oh yeah, they'll pay, they pick up. No. So come up with a process so that doesn't happen. I mean, cookies don't ever go to waste, and I always find a way to repurpose them if need be. But It really only took once or twice, and that was it. So now my team knows too. If there's not a checkbox in that box says that it was confirmed, we do not start the order. We do not start the order. And that's also in our fine print. Okay, we'll get there. Okay, so super, super important, really important. So if you had that order confirmation, and again, it's unfortunate with what happened this morning because that client, had she read the confirmation, she would have seen that I forgot to put the 5 in there. And again, a very easy fix. I'm working on it this morning. She's still picking up at the same time, but I'm also actually going to give her a bit of a credit just because of the duplicate effort and a little bit of inconvenience. So that's a topic for another day. But it's things are going to go wrong. Just don't set yourself up for perfection. But the biggest thing is how do you respond to them? And you kind of sometimes have to bite your tongue. I always say acknowledge and apologize and look at later to see what happened. For an isolated case, do not change your entire process. I'm not going to change my entire process because of this little hiccup, what I like to call them little hiccups. But I do know how to respond to them. And listening, apologizing, and then taking action and giving something back because you want to make sure that every single customer is satisfied. Again, a topic for another day. We will get there, but super, super important to keep that in mind. Okay, so number 4, what should be included in my order confirmation or contract? So first of all, you can choose to call it a confirmation or contract. I know some small businesses are kind of afraid of the word contract, but it really is, it doesn't matter what it's called, just make sure that it serves a purpose. And you are also getting an acknowledgement and that your customers understand what that means. So it basically just allows you to manage the expectations and prevent any misunderstandings. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on this because I want you to go to AnnetteConrad.com, go right to resources. I actually share with you my order confirmation agreement that is on my document that my client gets via the estimate, I believe. So take a look at that if that would interest you. So you don't have to start from scratch. Okay. Okay. So number 5, how can I ensure customers acknowledge that everything is correct? So yeah, this one basically a final confirmation. And I think I'm going to start incorporating this because of really what happened this morning. And again, I just said that I wasn't going to change the workflow process, but in my brain, it's how can I make it better and how can I avoid this to happen again? Because it really didn't give me a really good feeling in my gut. Really, I did miss the email. I missed the email where she said, could you add number 5? So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I do need to incorporate something so that I won't miss that. And I have an opportunity without adding any work. Because right now, what happens is our clients will give us an estimate 5 business days before. We will ask for a final count, no matter what. Even if they paid in full, I still ask them for a final count. So what I think I'm going to do is just change that language a little bit and just have them say, okay, one more time, is everything in order, just to get that acknowledgement. And that will maybe force them to, or give them a little nudge to review, because then if something happens, they can't come back and say, Annette, this is not what I expected. I can then refer back, not to necessarily put it in their face, but to say, this is, you did acknowledge everything was in order. So I think folks would, maybe think twice about, coming back. So yeah, keep that in mind. And these intake forms, these order confirmations, they don't have to be super involved. You don't need to get a lawyer involved. Start with just a simple form, and it will evolve over time based on your product offerings and services. I'm continuously looking at my forms. I'm tweaking them if they're not clear, or if I'm asking something that really is not applicable to my best sellers, I'm kind of taking it off. You want to keep it pretty streamlined, but you also want to keep it a good balance of asking for enough detail that will allow you then to price out that order, as well as get a clear understanding of what your clients are looking for. So, all right. So this was really good today. A lot of it, again, focused on communication, communicating with your clients communicating with you. It is a two-way street. Okay. But as the business owner, you're going to hear me say time and time again, you are in the driver's seat. You make the decisions and you can control a lot. And so, keep these things in mind. Again, if you want to go deeper on any one of these topics, I love to chat, and or just shoot me an email or a DM, and we'll get connected. So, all right, thanks so much. And we will see you again all real soon. Bye-bye.